Hello and welcome to Metal Vice, the podcast where we talk about all things music.
Well, the things we care about.
Right, which is mainly metal music and live music. I'm one of your hosts, Brian, joined by my other host,
Karen.
Karen, what is today's topic going to be?
We're going to talk about Disturbed at Tinley Park.
Yeah, this was Disturbed, part of their Take Back Your Life tour. We saw them with Breaking Benjamin and Jinjer. I think this was a choose your own adventure type show where certain shows got different headliners.
I think so, yeah. Not headliners, but...
Yeah, different openers.
Supporting acts, yeah.
As you said, this was at Tinley Park at Credit Union 1 Amphitheater. It used to be Hollywood Casino or something like that. It's changed names a few times.
3 times since we've lived here, it's changed names. So.
Yeah. Tickets were $149.50 and fees $29.60 with a tax of $10.13. $149.50, so $150 basically for the tickets. That was for the pit tickets.
Yeah.
We did pit this time. This was our first time doing pit.
It was, yeah.
We've done other shows out there before. We've done the balcony first, right, where you get like the little boxes.
Yep.
The lawn. Well, the lawn. We did the seats, then the lawn.
Yeah.
Where
We saw In Flames.
I think so. I can't
Sorry,
remember.
we've seen a lot of shows.
Can't remember who it was, but yeah.
But yeah, so we saw the opener for Five Finger Death Punch, whoever that was, in the seats. But then I didn't like it at all, so we went to the lawn for The Who and Five Finger.
Yeah, we saw the remainder of the show out there on the lawn.
Yep.
So we've essentially seen everything but the pit before this show.
Yes. Yep.
At Tinley Park. We don't like Tinley Park.
No.
It's what is it about that you don't like about it?
So I don't like the jaunt out there.
The drive.
It takes a long time to get out there for us. I mean, we're on the east side of Chicago, so it takes a long time to get out there. If you're in the suburbs, I'm sure it's wonderful compared to coming into the city. And then also, I've never had a good viewing experience for the show. I think the best before this show was probably Rammstein, and that still wasn't 100% great because we had really, really tall guys get the seats in front of us in the box.
Because the box isn't like a GA. It's like 2 or 3 rows, and you have a certain assigned seat. And the guys in front of us were taller and standing up, so we
and they
couldn't
stood
really
up the
see.
whole time.
Yeah.
So, and then I tried to stand on the seat. I think I got in trouble.
I think I kind of remember that. Yeah.
But yeah, so we just haven't had a really good viewing experience out there so far, and also just the problems we've had getting out there, and now that we own a car, the drive out there and everything, it's just not the best.
Yeah, that first time we saw Rammstein, we took the Metro out, thinking we could take the Metro back in after.
Yeah.
But we had missed the last train back into the city, so we had to do like a $100 Uber back in, which was kind of a bullshit thing, but whatever.
Yeah, that was our fault, though. I mean, for not knowing this guy. But I don't think I would have wanted to leave Rammstein early either to get back to the train.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely not.
Yeah.
This time around, though, we went up early. We went to Sound Growler.
Yeah.
I love that brewery. We've been there a few times for a few shows that they host at their venue.
Yeah.
Their venue being the brewery.
This is the first time we went there just for the brewery, though.
It is, yes.
Yeah.
We've talked about, they have a Costco up there, so we talked about, like, taking Costco around. So we usually go out to Schaumburg, and then we go to Kuma's, like we make a day out of it type thing.
Yeah. We do. Our Costco runs turn into a day adventure.
Yeah, so we talked about making this our new Costco because of Sound Growler.
Yeah.
So I think we'll do that, but I enjoy Sound Growler a lot.
Yeah, me too. I wish it was here in the city so that we could.
I do too. That's my one complaint is that it does take a while to get out there.
Because they have a lot of events too.
They do.
They have like metal yoga. They just did a tie-dye or a shirt tie-dye thing.
Yep.
I don't know.
They're going to do for Dia de los Muertos, they're going to do Sugar Skulls, I believe.
Yeah. They do a lot of art things or art shows or
art fairs and stuff, yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know. They just have a lot of stuff going on all the time, and we don't get to partake because we're busy or we can't add 2 hours of driving out there.
Exactly. So, I mean, that's the one complaint I have about Sound Growler, the only one really. But we decided this time, all right, we're going to go up early. We're going to try to avoid the traffic because this was a weeknight too. This was what, a Wednesday night?
It was a Wednesday night, yeah.
So getting there after work could be a pain in the ass. So we left work early, drove out there, had a few beers at Sound Growler, got some food at Sound Growler too, and then went over to the venue.
Yeah.
I kind of liked this approach that if we ever go back out there again for whatever reason for a show, I would definitely do the Sound Growler first.
Oh, me too, yeah, and give ourselves extra time. Obviously, like you said, we left work early. That's not always available, but that day it was, so it kind of worked out. But yeah, if we have to go back out there again, which I'm sure next summer we'll probably have to because bands book out there. But yeah, I think we would do that, like make a little bit more of a trip out of it.
Yeah, for sure. And there were a lot of other people going to the show that were popping in for a beer or so, and then heading out. We saw a group of guys come in. They talked to you about your shirt, and then we saw them.
I had a Disturbed shirt on, and so they asked if I was going to the show, and I'm like, no. Just joking with them. But and we saw them later.
Yeah, they were like pulling in the same time we did. They left early. They must have gone to another brewery.
Yeah, they must have went somewhere. Or went got food or something.
Yeah.
Who knows what they did.
But yeah, saw them again and a few other people in there. So it was a good time before the show for sure.
Yeah, it made it more relaxing and enjoyable than the whole, okay, we got to get through traffic. We got to get out here. We got to, do our whole thing, get parked, get into the show before it starts. Like, it just helps.
It's really not that far from the venue either. It's a quick drive over.
It was like 15 minutes maybe. Yeah, it wasn't bad.
Also, definitely cheaper than the $20 you're paying for booze in the stadium for sure. So go there ahead of time and have a few drinks. So then we get to the venue. We've already done an episode, like you said, Five Finger. We did an episode on that where we talk about the venue. Quickly touching on it again, I really like the infrastructure of this venue, where when you walk in outside of the seating and viewing area, it's well built. There's actual restrooms. For the men, there's troughs. So whatever. It's
the women's is just a normal restroom.
But at least it's like not porta potties and shit, right?
That's true. There are porta potties up in the lawn.
There are, yeah.
But I mean, I think I would rather just walk down.
I would too. Hill. I'd rather walk down too, for sure. Yeah. Then many food and drink vendors, booths around, not vendors, but they're all owned probably by Live Nation, but well built. And then there's just a lot going on down there. I really like this infrastructure and how it's set up, and you're not waiting in line too long for stuff. If you are, that's your choice, but like it's good. There's a lot of options to go to. And then they have a few VIP loungy bar areas too that we've used once in the past. Before it was really built out. Or the very first time we went up there, it definitely was not built out like this.
Yeah, I don't remember it being how it is now, where like that was the only place to find shade that day. That's what I remember. And now it seems like there would be a lot more just because there's so many buildings and stuff. You could like get where you need to go, sort of thing.
Yeah, I don't know. The infrastructure standpoint outside of the viewing area, I really enjoy.
Yeah.
I think it's well built and well designed. So I do appreciate that when we go there.
Yeah, that is a plus. Definitely.
We didn't talk about parking when we went in, but we paid for the parking. The last time we went out for Five Finger, we didn't have parking, but they were saying it's like $100 at the door.
So I figured that out this time because I read the sign better.
Okay.
So the $100 is for front row parking.
Gotcha. Okay.
Which, I'm sorry, I don't think it's worth $100 to be front row. We ended up paying $40 for the premier parking.
I believe so. I put that on here.
I think it was.
Yeah, $40 for the add-on parking.
Yeah, and so we had the premier parking, which we got the front row of that again, like we did for Five Finger.
Which is really nice when you're leaving.
It is really nice to leave.
Scoop on out.
Yeah. But I believe, like last time when we did the Five Finger thing, I was like, I think it's $100 at the gate if you want to park. Otherwise, I don't know what the other parking lots are, but there was a free parking lot.
Yeah, so we didn't actually have to pay for the parking.
No.
I always thought, because when we went out to Five Finger, it was you had to buy the parking pass or pay the $100 at the door.
Yeah.
Not realizing there's a free option.
We really didn't
know
what we were doing.
Yeah.
Because at first he had the row blocked off where you had to go to free parking, and I'm like, we have premium parking, and he's like, oh, and then like kind of waved us forward or whatever. But I'm like, now if we go out there again, probably just do the free parking.
Which was another reason I hated this venue, was because I thought you had to pay for parking.
Yeah.
It's out in the middle of nowhere almost. There's not a good walking, there's no sidewalk.
There's people who do walk, but it's like 3 miles back to town.
Yeah, it's because when we went out there for Rammstein, we took the metro out and we were going to walk from there. It was like a 3 mile walk from the metro to the venue.
But there's no sidewalk.
No sidewalk. We ended up getting an Uber and we saw that as we were going.
Yeah.
Like, oh shit, there is no sidewalk. Yeah. So you're walking on the road, which whatever, we've done it before.
It's okay going there because it's still light out, but coming back, it's dark, and I think that would be
for sure with people drinking dangerous. And shit. Yeah.
That's one thing. Having it out there in the middle of nowhere with people drinking, that's probably not.
We did see an accident on the way home.
Yeah. a rear end.
Which you're in a slow moving line of cars. How does that happen?
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's more you're not paying attention. Hopefully they weren't drinking. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know
but
either.
I saw a lot of people where I'm like, I hope you have a person driving who's not been drinking. But that could be said for a lot of venues and a lot of places.
For sure.
So.
But I mean, a lot of the ones here in the city, we just hop on the metro or the L and then come on home. So not that bad, really.
Yeah.
Like I've been on the L drunk several times, more than I should. And there's so many other people who are too. So but you're not driving, so whatever, it's fine.
Yeah.
Or maybe not fine, but whatever. You know what I mean?
Just be responsible.
Yeah. So I don't know what we're talking about. Parking, I think. Oh yeah. That's so yeah, that was one thing I hated about this venue too, was like, all right, not a good way to get out here if you're not driving. So you're obviously going to be driving here, and now you're charging me to park for the, like I always thought you had to pay for no matter where you went.
Me too.
And that was another reason I hated this venue. But knowing now that there is a free lot as well, all right, that's a little bit better.
Yeah.
It helps out for sure.
Yeah, next summer we'll definitely be utilizing that, and even if it takes us longer to get out, it might be worth the $40. Yeah. I don't know.
But yeah, I guess enough about the venue, sort of. Let's get into the pit. This is our first time there.
Yeah.
We worked our way down to the pit area. You had said ahead of time, like, this is going to be small. The pit is small.
Yeah, yeah. First, before getting to the pit, that was a jaunt as well.
A journey,
because it was like, oh, you had to go through this one person, and then they were like, oh, you don't have a wristband, so then we had to go back out, get a wristband, come back in, and then they're like, oh, well, you can't come through this gate or this walkway, you have to go through this walkway. And I don't know, it was just, I felt like it could have been, I mean, you're scanning your ticket at the gate, have wristbands there. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean, I get that, but then you're slowing down that part of the line where if you get
there
people...
was no line.
Not at this show, right? When we got in, there was no... And then, well, all right. The gate we went in, there was no line.
Right.
When we went to the other side, it looked like there may have been a line.
There may have been, yeah.
Because there were a lot more people on that side of... Which might have been where the free parking lots were, too.
Maybe. But, I mean, I guess it is just... It was a frustration that it seemed like one person had one job, and they really didn't know where to go to get the wristbands or, like, what to do. Or, you know, it was like they knew a little bit, but not everything. And
yeah, I understand why it's set up this way. It's all for, like, moving the crowd around and making sure.
Sure. It's just frustrating.
No, it is, yeah. But again, if we went out there more and more and more and more, we would learn that. And the one time we went through this frustration, the next time we do it, we already know where to go. We know what to do. We know what the process is. And the next time. But that is a good call for people who haven't been there for sure. Like, you're going to get through the gate, and there's going to be, as you walk in, there's going to be little tables, at least this time there were, with people scanning your wristband or your ticket again to give you the wristbands to get into the pit.
Right. Yeah, and then you have to find the right walkway to get down to the pit because it's not every walkway.
Yeah, it's not every walkway. That part I felt was fine. It was getting the wristband and getting back in, but once you got in, it was like, no, you can't come through here. You have to go one over, then you're going to go down and turn right because the pit is small and there's only like the two entrances type thing. Yeah. And when we left in between acts, there was one guy who's like, this isn't an entrance, just so you know. Once the music starts, you need to come this way. But if it's not, like if the act hasn't started, I'll let you in through here. Yeah. So there's one guy we found who was like super cool about it. Yeah. He was like, this isn't a way in, but the door's right there. Yeah. You can go in.
Yeah, like it's not that big of a deal.
Yeah.
Anyways, that was just something I wanted to say before.
Yeah. No, I think it's a good call out. And I understand your frustration. I do. But I do think if we went out here more and more, we would understand that better.
Yeah. No, I get that too. Because now next time we'll be like, oh, if we have pit tickets, it'll be like, oh, we have to go.
Yeah.
Get our wristband to do it.
Yeah, for sure. But we did end up getting down into the pit finally, and I didn't think it was going to be as small as you thought it was going to be. It was smaller than I thought it was going to be, but I think larger than you thought it was going to be.
No, it was about the same size as I thought it was going to be.
Did it? Okay. Yeah. I guess in my head, I thought you thought it was going to be a lot smaller than it was.
It's like 10 people deep. It's not very deep. Or it's like 15 people deep.
I think that's a good number. 10 to 15 people deep from the back of the pit to the stage.
Yeah, it's not very big. It was bigger than Rockfest, I think.
For sure. It was probably double the size of Rockfest, I would say. With the difference of Rockfest, you had the the catwalks that went
Yeah.
over the pit.
Yeah.
This didn't have that.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I said, smaller than I thought it was going to be, but larger than I thought you thought it was going to be. Kind of weird. But it was a decent size. It wasn't tiny by any means, but it wasn't large, I guess is what I'm trying to say. I enjoyed it. I thought it was really cool. I thought it was really intimate.
Too. Yeah.
Like when we got in, we were 3 people back from the rail basically for Jinjer. I don't know. I thought it was really cool.
I like it. I actually really enjoy it. I mean, this is probably the best experience we've had at Tinley Park. And I really liked it because when you are in the pit, it's not like an incline by any means, but you're up just enough. There's a little bit of incline because it's an amphitheater. So, but it's just enough of an incline that like no matter where I stood, I was a little bit taller than the person in front of me. Does that make sense? Like,
yeah, or you could see it a little bit better than you would have if it was flat.
Yeah, if it's flat. And we actually saw quite a few shows. This was like a week and a half ago, and we've seen a couple shows since then. And I really noticed how that little tiny incline really helps because like the next night we saw Corey Taylor and it's all flat.
That didn't have an incline?
I don't think so.
I thought it had it a little bit.
I didn't feel an incline at all.
Okay, maybe not.
And I could really tell like if you're even the same height or a little bit shorter than the person, you really can't see as much.
Yeah.
So I really enjoyed that. And also I enjoy that when you're close to the stage, like you don't have to worry about those screens because that was a big thing for Five Fingers. Like we basically watched the screen where you don't have to worry about that.
I did look over at the screen once or twice on the side of the stage. So the stage is just a straight stage, and then they have Jumbotron type screens on either side of the stage. And that's mainly for the people in the seats. And then when you get out to the lawn, it's like
a circle.
Well, yeah, because you have like the boxes that are above the seats, so it makes sort of like a U shape, and then you have like the poles holding up the boxes, and the TVs are sort of on the back of those boxes for the people on the lawn to watch.
Right.
But yeah, I didn't catch myself looking at the screen at all, which was really nice because you were right there. You didn't have a reason to. You're like right there with the band. It was great viewing for sure.
Yeah. So the best viewing that we've had for sure. Because even I remember with Rammstein, even though we were in the box, like I looked at the screen a lot because I couldn't see the stage very well. You probably could, maybe a little bit more.
A little bit, yeah.
So I don't know. It was the best viewing that I've had. Now, I mean, we'll get into was it worth it or not, but the price for the tickets compared to other tickets, it's like
yeah. We'll get into the pricing for sure. I have my thoughts, and I'm sure you have yours, but we'll get into that at the end. But let's, I guess, jump into the music. We talked about the pit being down there. The first act, Jinjer, comes up, and what'd they open with?
They opened with Perennial, Call Me a Symbol, Vortex, I Speak Astronomy, Copycat, and they ended with As I Boil Ice.
Very short set, 6 tracks.
Yeah.
We saw them at Rockfest where they got 40 minutes.
Oh, no, I think at Rockfest they had an hour.
Oh, did they? Okay.
Yeah.
They had an hour.
Yeah.
Put on a great show out there. This was a good show, too. Don't get me wrong. This was a really good show for an opener.
I'm just glad we got to see him at Rockfest.
Yeah. I just wish this was longer for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
Put on an awesome show. It was a lot of fun. I don't know. It was great. We didn't have the sound check guy this time that we did for Rockfest.
Well, not when we were there anyways.
Yeah, I guess that's fair. He could have done sound check earlier, but they came out at Rockfest and did sound check in Ukrainian, so it was really cool to hear. Like, oh, I guess I've never thought about how other people do sound checks. I always assumed it was check 1, 2, that kind of thing, like in English. Even if you don't speak English, like this is what you do. So that was a cool experience at Rockfest. Didn't get that here, but band comes out and they put on a killer show for sure.
A lot of people were there to see Jinjer too, which was really cool.
I did notice that. Yeah, a lot of people were there to see Jinjer. I think some of them that were there to see Jinjer also switched out shirts in between because I think I saw the same people with the Disturb shirts on. So I think they went to merch, bought Jinjer shirts, wore those for Jinjer, and then Disturb came on.
Oh, that's interesting. I didn't notice that.
On the Disturb shirt.
Yeah, that's interesting. I just noticed that they there's a lot of people who are like, oh, you should be later on or like later on the bill or like play longer or whatever. Because, I mean, they only played for like 20 some minutes.
Yeah, it was really quick. I can't remember if there's much crowd interaction for this or if it was just like we're very short. We got to go.
Let's go sort of thing. So
yeah, and they they're doing their tour interesting, where they're touring with Disturbed, but then on off days they go off and do their own side tour, basically.
Yeah, we're seeing them coming up again.
I think this will be posted after we see them.
Yes, it will be. Yeah.
So
by the time we see this, we're gonna see them again
in Milwaukee. Which will be fun.
Yeah. So and that's a headlining show.
Right.
So that's even longer than Rockfest. Hopefully.
I'm wondering to see how that one's going to be compared to Rockfest. I think it's going to be about the same.
Yeah.
We'll see what the set list is. I can't remember. We added everything from Jinjer on our set list. I think there may have been one song on here that wasn't at Rockfest.
Oh, okay. Okay.
That I added. Either that or I forgot to add it for Rockfest. I can't remember. But
so we use Setlist FM, so it could be somebody missed it on the set
or
list
exactly, something like that. Yep. But yeah, killer set. Really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I enjoyed being so close to the stage here too, because for Rockfest we were under one of those fans.
Yeah, it was hot.
So we were like back a ways, where this was really cool to be really close to the stage and be able to like see them perform. And I think it was their bassist really reminded me of Bloodywood's bassist, like with the energy that was given.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and I was just like, I can't remember what the Bloodywood bassist name is, but I was like, man, they could like really just like jam together, and like they just have the same energy and the same movement, not same movements, but like similar movements and stuff like that. And I was just like, oh, they could really get together and jam, and it would be really cool.
No, yeah, we were right in front of the bases, so it was really cool to see, like you said, a very up close and like see the movements and the energy that they brought, and everybody else. I can't remember if they switched sides every now and then with the guitar. I think the guitar came over a couple times, but mainly it was the bases.
Yeah, yeah, I think so.
Yeah, like I said, great set for how short it was. Can't wait to see them here in a couple weeks live. Yeah, like obviously live, but as a headliner.
As a headliner, yeah.
Yeah. I guess that's it for Jinjer. Unfortunately, not unfortunately, just super short. Then we get into Breaking Benjamin. What did we have for their set?
Yeah, so they started with Failure, Breath, Until the End, Red Cold River, Polyamorous, Blow Me Away, Simple Design, Follow, Sooner or Later, So Cold, Dance with the Devil, I Will Not Bow, and they ended with The Diary of Jane.
Yeah, we saw them for the first time last year at Upheaval.
At Upheaval, yeah.
I felt like this was a slightly different set. I don't like. There are a lot of songs I don't.
Yeah, I forgot I was going to look at their set last year. Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, I think we're almost ready to say the same thing. Like, I felt like when we saw them last year, I knew a lot more of their songs, but that was a festival show, where this is like a touring show. So maybe the set list was all different, but I mean, I knew a few of the songs, but maybe only like 3.
Yeah, that's the same thing I was thinking. Like Dance with the Devil, I Will Not Bow, and Diary of Jane, and So Cold. How they ended their set.
Yeah.
Definitely their main laser music that we would hear.
But the first part of the set is like, I don't remember those songs.
I really don't either, and I don't really listen to Breaking Benjamin that often. It's
me
usually when they're on the radio.
Yeah, and it was another time where I kind of not felt left out, but like since we don't listen to them, or we don't seek them out, I should say, a lot of people were having a lot more fun than we were, I guess. I don't even know how to say that, but where you can like sing along with the music, or like when like a part's gonna come or something like that. And for us, where we don't really know the songs, it's like we're just standing there enjoying the music.
Yeah, there were a couple women in front of us who were definitely getting into it a lot more than we were.
Right.
One of them got a pick that got thrown out to him, and I remember her like jumping down real quick to grab it, and like, oh my god, I got one. Yeah. I ended up getting one too. Yeah. I think you got it. I felt that one hit me in the shoulder, and it sort of like rolled down my arm.
Yeah, and then you put your foot on it.
Did I this time?
Yeah, you did. Okay. Yeah, you put your foot on it, and then I grabbed it from under your foot. We kind of learned that from Metallica. Like, if you see one, just like...
That's sort of my go-to. I'm not in the mood to like jump down. And
I didn't have to fight anybody for this one like I did at Metallica, where I was like, get your hand off my fucking husband's foot.
But yeah, felt that one. I didn't feel as hard as I did the Pop Evil one we got earlier. Like, that one actually like...
Flung.
It was like a thunk.
Like that.
Yeah. That one, like... Yeah, I felt that one a little bit more. A little more force behind that one. But yeah, that was cool. The set design also was sort of just this straight in a line.
Yes. Everybody had their spot in a line.
Yep.
Yeah.
And you had like your LED screens behind
Yeah.
and your center of, so you had like LED screens, a center block that the drum kit was on, and then more LED screens on the other side. So kind of like split. So the
Right.
drum was in the middle.
Right.
But I think it had a little LED under it as well.
Yeah, yeah. They had really cool imagery or like movie type things playing on the background because like there was like an I wrote them down. Sorry, I knew that we weren't going to record for a long time, so I took a few notes. So like they had a Japan background with cherry blossoms.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
That was the first one, and then they had like angel wings, which on that one, so the image on the back kind of fades into the band or fades out to the band playing, and there was a moment where I was like, what is on his head? Like, because I was like, I didn't realize that it was like fading out to like, so I don't know his name, but the lead singer. So like when it was fading out, like I was like, there's something on his head. Like, what is that? And then I realized it's him covering the mic, and then he had a water bottle behind him that looked like it was coming out of his head. So I just felt so dumb once I realized that. Like, oh, it's just how the image is coming about.
Benjamin.
Oh, his name is Benjamin? Well, now I feel stupid.
But, you know, those angel wings, I saw that too, and it was like, oh, that's your cover of one of your albums. And sure enough, it is. Like,
oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know their albums very well.
That's the one.
Like, I know their logo, but...
Yeah. That's the one album cover I know of theirs. I've seen it a lot.
Was that from, like, 2009?
It's... I don't know when. It's early. It's when they first started coming around, I think.
Probably older than that, even.
2006.
Oh.
That one is from their album Phobia, and then the We Are Not Alone album. Those are the two album covers of theirs that are like, oh, I know those. I know what that band is based on just those two.
Yeah.
Dark Before Dawn's another one of theirs that I think is newer that I've seen a lot, but like those are the three main covers of theirs that I know. But the Angel Wings for sure coming in and out. I saw that. I was like, oh, that's your album. That's what you're doing there.
I didn't realize that while it was happening. So I stopped taking notes after that. But it gets to the point where like I don't want to be just on my phone all the time typing. So I'm like, I'm just gonna listen. But there is one, and I don't know what song it is. Maybe it's the Cold River or Red Cold River or something song. But it was like a movie or like a production where like a priest is like leading, I'm guessing, a prisoner with like a stone, and I'm assuming he's gonna drop it in the river and then kill himself.
I forgot about that.
Do you remember that one?
Yeah.
But that I don't remember the music to that song at all. I was so focused on what was going on. Like I was like, I want to know what happens.
Yeah, I forgot.
Like
about
I'm assuming that's what was happening. Is
that
like,
must be like the music video.
Yeah,
that they're playing
that's how I'm
on there.
wondering. Yeah, because it's like, like the prisoner's carrying this stone that's attached to him, obviously, and then I kind of like looked away at the end, but I'm wondering if he like drops it in the river and then basically kills himself.
Yeah, I don't know. I will have to try to see what look through there.
But you remember that too. Like
yeah, I
that
do
one
now
too.
that you mention it.
Yeah. That's the last one that was like really in my mind that I remember like as movie imagery or whatever.
Yeah.
There's probably more, but I try to focus on the band a lot, but that one I was like focused too much.
In addition to like the LED screens, there's also like just the smoke sort of what I don't know what those are called, like the smoke cannon type things.
Yeah.
Shooting off, but
they were on the back of, or was that with Disturbed?
That was with Disturbed.
Oh, okay.
On the back of the drum kit.
Yeah.
But very cool, simple set design for sure. I did enjoy their set design. A bit.
I do remember them all in one line, and I was just like, I don't know if I like that. Like them just all in a line where I like it better where there's like the energy and they're moving around and everything. So
there was a little bit of moving around, but it definitely wasn't as much. It was sort of like, this is my spot. This is where I stand. Yeah.
But it was a great set, and I mean, a lot of people were really, really into it. Again, like I said, like I was kind of felt not out of it, not included. because we didn't know their songs as well.
So to me, Breaking Benjamin falls into like that radio metal,
definitely.
laser music that we call it, right?
Yeah.
Where Breaking Benjamin, Shinedown, Pop Evil are like the three for me that when I hear them, they all sound somewhat similar, but different enough. And I guess even 3 Days Grace can fall into that category, right?
Yeah.
Where they sound similar enough, but different enough.
Yeah.
That
3 Days Grace,
sometimes
definitely. Yeah.
I'm like, who is this again?
Yeah.
But
like if you hear it without knowing the song.
yeah. And they all kind of came around the same time in the mid 2000s, right? And that's about the time I started getting into metal and rock music as well, my own sort of doing my own journey. And I remember when they came out, I was like, I hate these guys. They're always on the radio. It's the poor man's metal music. It's kind of shit music. Fuck these guys. This is stupid. I'm tired of this on. Play Slipknot. Play something good. Play something heavy. Where's the Lamb of God? Why is that not on the radio?
Right.
So I was kind of jaded for a long time. And like, these guys suck. But we've seen 3 Days Grace several times now. We're going to see them again.
Yeah.
We've seen Breaking Benjamin now a couple times. Shinedown only once. Pop Evil a couple times. And every time I go to these shows, I have a blast. I really do. Like, it's so much fun. My younger, like, high school angsty self of being like, fuck you, this isn't real music, was just an idiot. Like, this is fun. It's not my normal metal music. It's not the metal music I like the most, but it's definitely the metal music still, and metal, like, in music I still enjoy.
Yeah.
And they put on great shows, and they put on a good show here, too.
Yeah, I would agree. And I think I said this earlier when we started Breaking Benjamin, it's not a band that we seek out, but when we do hear it, we do enjoy it.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I'm not turning the radio off when it comes on, for sure. And seeing them live, if they do their own headlining show here soon.
Oh, yeah.
Here in Chicago, I'd definitely go check that out.
Yeah. I did look at last year's set when we saw them at Upheaval versus here. And Upheaval, they had a lot off of their Phobia and We Are Not Alone album. Where this one, they had some off of We Are Not Alone and Phobia, but then they sprinkled in the other albums.
Yeah.
So it makes sense because, like, when we actually listened to them on the radio, it was more those two albums versus since we moved from Iowa, obviously we don't listen to the radio anymore. And, but so they had some later stuff that we just don't know. Yeah. So I think that's why Upheaval, we felt like we knew a lot more of the songs. So,
yeah, for sure.
Yeah. But they're on our set list now, or our playlist on Spotify, so we'll definitely have them sprinkled in there.
So funny thing, I knew we were going to see Disturbed. We had already seen them at Hogfest this year. And knew we were seeing Jinjer. Saw them at Rockfest.
Yeah.
Both of them headlining, like, set lists basically, because Disturbed headlined, Jinjer played 40-minute set. So we had both of those on this year's playlist already. So the day before, I'm like, Disturbed's on there for last year. So is Breaking Benjamin. But they never come up when I play last year's playlist on shuffle.
Yeah.
So I listened to last year's playlist. First fucking song, Breaking Benjamin. Because I don't like listening to the music the day of from a band. And this was the day of the show. So I was like, skip. Play a couple songs. Disturbed's on. Skip. Play a couple songs. Breaking Benjamin's on. I think I text you later on. Like, I've been listening to this, and I've skipped through 3 Breaking Benjamin, 3 Disturbed songs. What I have not heard yet is Metallica, Lamb of God, Ghost, Wage War. Like, Wage War's on there twice because we saw their acoustic set and a normal set.
Yeah, so you see it or hear it a lot.
No 3 Days Grace. Like, how the fuck does Spotify know I'm going to this show tonight, and why is it queuing up this shit for
I wonder
me?
if it does know that there's a show in your area, so then it's like, listen to this, listen to this. Even though it's on our playlist, I wonder if it still has, like, that in the algorithm.
Maybe it could.
I've never noticed that before, like, listening to the playlist on.
But I had to skip through a lot of Breaking Benjamin just because I don't like listening to it the day of.
Yeah.
So I thought that was kind of funny when that popped up. But speaking of Disturbed, let's get into their set list. They were the headliner. And
we've already talked about this set list.
Yes, we have.
Because I believe it's the exact same as when we saw them at at Hogfest.
Even the same order?
I think so.
All right. Well, what was it then?
So it's Hey You, Stupefy, 10,000 Fists, Prayer, Are You Ready, Bad Man, A Reason to Fight, and then they had a guitar solo, then followed by Land of Confusion, The Vengeful One, followed by a drum solo, The Game, The Sound of Silence, Indestructible, The Light, and there was a bass solo before the end of their main set of Stricken. And then the encore was Unstoppable, Down with the Sickness, and Inside the Fire. And I believe it's exactly the same as Hogfest, minus the bass solo and the guitar solo.
Yeah, I think you said that when we got in the car. You said it's the exact same set list, but the transition between Reason to Fight and Land Confusion
Yes.
was better with the
So
guitar.
much better. So A Reason to Fight came out in 2019 with their Evolution album, and it's basically like not anti-suicide. Oh, how do you say that?
I think it is I take it as an anti-suicide song because I interpret it as you're going through depression, you're going through your demons, your struggles. You need to find your reason to fight
Yeah.
to keep moving forward. Don't let these things drag you down enough or drag you down too far because it's happened to so many people in the past and they had reasons to fight, but they didn't let their demons, the demons just sort of took over.
Right, right. And it's also like at the end, there's the line where it's like, I will be your reason to fight. Like, if you need a reason, like, come to me.
Is that in the song?
It is, yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's like the last one. It's like, I will be your reason to fight.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but during this, when we saw them at Hogfest, I didn't know that David had been struggling, so it was a big shocker to me. And then I'm like, then I went to Chris Cornell and Chester, and I was just like, oh my gosh, like there's another one that we could lose because of the demons of depression. And so at Hogfest, though, they were I'm sure it was under a more strict time, and it's not their own set. It's like they're playing for Hogfest. And so, like, immediately after A Reason to Fight got done, like, David was crying. A lot of people were crying. I was crying. And then they immediately go into Land of Confusion. And it was hard for me I like that song. That was probably one of my first songs that I heard of theirs on the radio. Oh, go ahead.
No, I was just saying, and that's though where David came out and said, like, when Reason Fight got over, then he said, like, I was struggling.
Yes,
I almost,
yep.
And then, okay.
Yeah. So there was that little part of
Gotcha.
like, I was struggling in February. I had some stuff happen where, like I almost joined them. And he did mention like Chris Cornell and Chester. And so like it was very emotional at that moment. And then, but then the band comes out and like goes directly into Land of Confusion. And like I said, like I like that song. Like it was one of the first songs on the radio that I remember them playing. And I mean, besides like 10,000 Fists and stuff that I really got into, but it was hard for me to be into that song during Hogfest because of that transition, or there was no transition or whatever. Where this, I mean, granted, I was probably a little bit more prepared for that little bit or whatever that happens, but then they come out with the guitar solo by Dan, and then it goes into Land of Confusion.
Kind of led into Land of
Yeah,
Confusion.
so it kind of gives that little break of like this emotional part into, okay, let's get back into the fun music again.
Yep. And that was definitely here too. Being so close, seeing David break down even here was like, oh shit, it was tough to watch.
Yeah.
But it was good that like came up and to like show everyone that, hey, it doesn't matter what somebody's life looks like.
Right.
Like, they're a music star. They're traveling the world. They've got so much money. Like all of these other things, right? Of, your life is perfect. How the hell are you struggling? Type thing. Where
I think a lot of people look at it that way of like, you have all the money, you have everything. Like, what could be wrong with your life?
So to have him come out and open up like that was super awesome.
Yeah.
To see, like, just to like reemphasize, like everybody has these struggles. So is this where they also do like the if you struggle with depression or know somebody that does raise your hand type thing?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then like have you look around like everybody's fucking hands up.
Yeah. Which the person in front of us, like the two ladies that she was with, like rose their hand, but she didn't raise her hand. I'm like, wait, are you not understanding what this means? Like, if they have their hands up, that means you should have your hands up because you know them.
Yeah.
So, but
I don't
whatever.
know.
I shouldn't judge anybody.
Also, like, it could be, I don't like to share that aspect.
Yeah,
I don't
that's
like
true.
even that little thing of like, I do.
Yeah.
Like, I don't. Yeah.
Yeah.
But going backwards just a
Yeah,
little
go
bit,
ahead.
getting into how the set opened with Hey You.
Sure.
They dropped the curtain like they always do for headliners to like sort of build up their set. They even did the same thing for Breaking Benjamin, right? You drop the curtain with like the band's logo and you build the set for them. So then when the curtain drops, boom, cool, set's revealed, band's revealed, cool thing. Same thing they did at Hogfest where it's just a white screen, no logos, no nothing. And when they come out, it gets dark, and then you see like flashes of like circle lights, and then you see the silhouettes of each band member like playing an instrument, or David's coming out with his hands up, and you see like Mike with his like hands up getting ready to like, hit the cymbals and shit.
Yeah.
So for sound check, I made me laugh because they also had a light check where a guy went to every single light and stood there while they turned them on.
To
and
make
like,
sure that the shadow was correct.
Yep, this is right. You.
Yeah.
I thought that was funny because we had seen it before. We knew what was going to happen. It's like, oh, I've never seen a light check before. But yeah, then they came out to Hey You, which is fine. I still think Are You Ready is a better opener for them.
Me too. That's so much.
That should open their set.
But Hey You is off at Divisive, which is their newest album, so it kind of makes sense. But I hope that when they get back to where they're not touring for this album, unless they make a better like opening song, I really think that Are You Ready is so much better.
I do too. For an opener, like it's like, Are you ready? The night's about to start.
Yeah.
You're about to have a lot of fun. Like,
yeah.
Let's go. Let's have some fun. Are you ready for this?
Yeah.
I think that's perfect for an opening song. Hey You is fine too, don't get me wrong. Of the two, though, I do think Are You Ready is so much better.
Yeah. I get the whole, because of how the beat goes for the lights, Hey You makes sense, how they want to do the imagery of like the white with the lights in the background, because it is like kind of like,
yeah.
So it kind of makes sense for that. But yeah, Are You Ready? I mean, I remember seeing them in 2019. I think we saw them like 3 or 4 times in 2019.
Something like that, yeah.
And I was like, this is probably always going to be their opening song. So
I thought so too. Like,
yeah,
with Lamb of God, Memento Mori, I think that's the perfect opening song. Should always open their set with that, regardless of what comes out, unless something comes out better, which I don't think there will be.
Yeah.
That's a perfect opening track.
Yeah.
Just like for Disturbed, the perfect opening track is Are You Ready?
Yeah. By the time they got to Prayer, which is their 4th song, I realized that it's going to be exactly the same as when we saw them at Hogfest. Yeah. And I don't know what it is, because there's a lot of bands I can see their concert. Maybe it's just because Disturbed, I know all their songs. But by, like, Disturbed, I can kind of, like, remember what song's been played and, like, what hasn't been played. And I don't know. So when I was going through it, I'm like, this is exactly the same as Hogfest. Which, cool, whatever. Like, they did Hogfest kind of on their tour. So it's kind of like us seeing their set twice. Or their set twice. Like, their tour twice.
I mean... Yeah, exactly the same as Hogfest. Even the set design, exactly the same. The same lights, where there's sort of like the 3 layers of vertical or horizontal lights that would rotate up and down. So one side would go up, so they're like at an angle.
Yeah.
And there's like 2 of them, one on either side, and then like 3 sections, and they make these like W's and these weird like little, not weird shapes, just like angled.
Yeah, different shapes. Yeah.
And that's where your lighting's on as well. The one notable difference here is, so below those, the lights hang, and then above, there was pyro.
Yeah. A lot of pyro.
And, like, pyro all night long. Like, you had a strip of pyro going across the top, and then you had, like, the cannons that shot pyro up and out at angles. So much fucking pyro.
Yeah.
Did not have that at Hogfest.
No.
They had it here. It was fucking awesome.
Yeah, which I guess is kind of cool to have it at an amphitheater, so you could have it, because if you're in the city of Chicago, well, maybe at United Center you could do it.
I think there's some venues you can definitely do it.
But like, say it was at Aragon, which they would not be at Aragon
Probably
because they
not,
sell that
right.
out probably, but you wouldn't have that.
I don't think you'd have pyro there. Any like older theater, you would probably not have pyro. Outdoor stadiums, Wrigley, Soldier.
Yeah, Northern Ireland would have it.
Northern Ireland, I guess Sock Stadium, a guaranteed rate, is outdoors. I've never seen a show there, so they could probably have pyro. United Center, I would assume, would have pyro because it's a newer stadium.
Yeah.
Wintrust Arena, I would hope, would have pyro, but nobody ever fucking plays there for some reason. I don't get it.
Right.
So I think there's a few places here in the city for sure that would have pyro.
Yeah.
But
I was giving a plus for being at the amphitheater that we hate so much.
But no, I agree. That did help too, that they could do pyro. And like we said, it was more or less, there's maybe 1 or 2 songs I noticed where they didn't have it, but that was on all night long for the entire set.
Yeah. There was a moment between Breaking Benjamin and Disturbed. It was a cooler night, like 60s probably.
It was cooler, yeah.
Yeah, which it was crazy because we came off of 90s.
The week before was,
Hundreds.
we saw Guns N' Roses, and it was 117 real feel when we saw that.
Yeah, like heat index, yeah.
And then this one was probably in the 70s, so it was like a 40-degree change.
Yeah, almost 50 degrees probably after after the sun went down.
Yeah.
But I remember there was a moment where I was like, I'm ready for the pyro. Like, 'cause I knew that there was going to be a lot of pyro because I've seen the pictures and stuff of other people going to see the show. That's a bad thing about Disturbed. I follow so many things about Disturbed. I kind of know what's happening. But I was like, I'm chilly. Like, I am ready for the pyro.
See, I don't follow that, so this was a surprise to me.
Yeah.
I was not anticipating this much pyro from them.
Yeah. And then you were editing the vlog for Hogfest because that's how far behind we are on those. And that's when we noticed because you're watching like the footage or like seeing the pictures or whatever, and we're like, wait, those are the same lights.
So I knew they were the same lights when they
played.
Did
you notice?
Yeah, because I was going to bring that up, and then I think you were rewatching it before because I had finished the vlog. You're watching it for an edit. That's probably going to get posted tonight when after we're recording.
Probably. Yeah. So it'll be posted before this goes up.
This will be posted before this goes up. Yeah.
So check that out if you haven't.
But you were watching that, and you're like, wait, are those the same lights? I was like, yes, I was going to bring that up when we record.
Yeah.
But yeah, no.
I'm sorry to steal your thunder.
No, it's all good. Yeah, I remember liking the set design for Hogfest. And I kind of remember there not being any pyro. I don't know if there was for Sound of Silence. They normally like light the the piano on fire.
Yeah.
They may have done that here. I can't remember, honestly.
At Hogfest?
Yeah.
At Hogfest, they may have. I do think that during the last song, Inside the Fire, I think had some pyro, but it definitely wasn't the same as the entire back being lit up. And maybe we could find a picture of that or something and put it in, because it is a really cool shot of like the entire stage just lit up in pyro.
Yeah, a lot of cool things. Pyro was awesome for sure. What other standouts then? I guess like the drum solo. We saw that at Hogfest. I think I was talking to you a while. I can't remember when I was talking to you, but I was like, we don't see drum solos anymore.
I think that was in like 3 or 4 episodes ago. So whatever show that was. It was during Gojira.
Oh, okay.
Because he like holds up the sign like, I can't fucking hear
Yeah, that's
you.
right. I forgot. Yeah,
and that's when during that you were like, oh, they don't do drum solos. I'm like, well, Disturbed does. And
you
like,
went off and you like listed off everything we saw. And it's like, all right, maybe they do drum solos.
Yeah.
But I do remember the Hogfest one because it was May the 4th, Star Wars Day. And Mike comes out in like a Boba Fett helmet and drums in that. That was kind of cool.
Yeah.
But
I don't think I've ever seen John do a bass solo.
I'm trying to remember if we have. Yeah.
Like, I mean, we've seen them probably 10 times or more.
Yeah.
And that's not coming to mind anyways that they've done that. So that's really cool to do or to see that as well.
That was a cool part too. But other than that, it was just a standard Disturbed show.
Yeah. What about the light? So the light during that, it's when David sings the lyrics like, darkness will show you the light or can show you the light. You're supposed to hold your phone up and like, did you look around at all to see?
I did a little bit, not a whole lot here. There were quite a bit of people with their cameras up.
I should have looked around more because in a stadium, I think that's really cool because like it's on all sides and then all around and stuff. But when you're in the pit, it doesn't look that cool because basically you're like 4 rows back, or you know what I mean? Like you're really close. But if you looked around, maybe
behind us, it was pretty cool if you looked around. So like from the band's perspective, for sure, it would have been really cool to see.
Yeah. I just didn't know what it would look like in the amphitheater.
Yeah. Anything else to talk about here, real quick?
No, the most notable thing about this tour is they don't end with Down with the Sickness.
They don't. Yeah.
They haven't. I knew that going into Hogfest that they didn't end with Down with the Sickness because, like I said, like I follow so much stuff that people talk about it, obviously. So I knew that they didn't end with that. But I think this is the first time that we've seen them where they don't end with, or the first year that we've seen them where they don't end with Down with the Sickness.
Usually that's their closer, yeah. But it's now Down with the Sickness and then Inside the Fire, or at least on this tour.
Yeah.
As I said, pretty standard Disturbed set. We've seen them, as you said, many, many times already.
Yeah, I think we've seen them the most.
I think
that number Avatar. I can't remember.
I think it's them then Avatar, yeah. And even though it was a standard Disturbed set, the pyro aspect of this for the entire show, I felt like this is probably one of the better shows I've ever seen of theirs.
Yeah.
I'm trying to figure out why, but no, I think it was the pyro aspect.
Yeah. I know I told you when we left that this is the most enjoyable Disturbed show that I've seen since 2019. because it got to the point where when we saw them at Upheaval last year, granted, we were very sick with COVID and we didn't know at the time it was COVID, but we just thought we were like super hungover or tired. But that was not that enjoyable to me. We weren't in the crowd, and I was just like, it's Disturbed. When we saw them at Hogfest, again, I was like, it's Disturbed. But now seeing them, and that's the only time we've seen them since 2019 is Hogfest.
I think so, yeah.
And Upheaval. And then this one, I saw them, I'm like, okay, we're back at a Disturbed show. Like, you know, I was getting to the point where, because Disturbed was my first band that I saw, my first band that I fell in love with, and like was like, oh my God, it's Disturbed. I have to see every single show that they ever do. But I felt like I was getting to the point where I didn't enjoy going to see Disturbed anymore, because I'm like, it's an okay show, but it's not the best. We've seen many concerts since then, and I'm just like, it's not the best. But to your point, it could be the pyro, it could be like the effects that are going on and stuff that really bring the show. So compared to just seeing them play on a stage, you know, it really does bring it.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure that out too. Of like this was the best show for sure of the last few years that we've seen. Going back to 2019, we saw them in Rosemont at the Allstate Arena. That was a pretty good show.
Yeah.
I do remember enjoying that show a lot. I think this was probably better than that show. Even though it was at a venue we hate, Tinley Park. And then we saw them at the release show for...
That's my favorite show.
That was a really good show.
Yeah, so that was at the Vic Theater. I think there was probably only 1,000 or so
very
tickets.
Small. They sold it out, so whatever the Vic holds, that's what they had.
Yeah.
And then like going back to the earlier, shows in Iowa when we were coming up, maybe the Waterloo show.
That was a really, really cool show.
Was up there, but this is up there with those 4 shows for sure.
Yeah.
Maybe even beating out that Rosemont show. So probably the third best Disturbed show I've seen.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know what it was. I don't know if this is a pyro. I just thought it was an amazing show, even though we saw the exact same show at Hogfest. This one was better. I don't understand why.
Yeah.
But there's something there.
I think the pyro did make a big difference, or it's where we were positioned. Because even for Hogfest, we were pretty close, but we weren't like 4 rows back or like.
Yeah, and that kind of gets into the pit aspect. Like the pit was super fucking cool to be in. I really enjoyed Tinley Park.
Look, it almost seems like no matter where you are in the pit, you don't need to be on rail. You're so close anyways that it's like you're right there. Like, I really enjoyed it too. And I have to say, I mean, it's pricey to be in the pit. I think it was $150 plus.
$150, plus your fees.
Plus all your fees and stuff. So it was like almost $200 a ticket. Well, it was $200 a ticket basically. Well,
180,
190.
Yeah,
I guess. Anyways, whatever. By the time you do like gas and parking and all that shit, it's over $200 a ticket. So it is very, very pricey. So to go see a show here, it has to be somebody that we absolutely want to see, and not just like, they're going there, so let's go see them, sort of thing.
I thought the same thing. I think the only time I would come back out to Tinley Park would be for a pit. I'm only going to see a show there in the pit. And I was thinking about that, and maybe there's some caveats. There are some bands that are more loungy, and you'd like to watch them from a lounge, like just sitting on the lawn, like they'd be a good lawn band.
Right.
None that are metal come to mind, really. It's more of like the alternate rock, indie kind of rock stuff.
Apocalyptica.
I guess so.
Because I think it would be really cool just to like kind of sit back and listen to. But I like seeing... like Apocalyptica, I like seeing the basses and stuff. So I think it would be like when we saw the Who sitting on the lawn, where I'm like,
you want to be there because you want to see the instruments.
You want to see what they're doing, yeah. But for the energy, a lot of metal bands, I'd be like, I don't want to just sit back and listen.
So if we ever do go back, I would say only if we get pit tickets.
Yeah.
But it is pricey, and it's like, fuck this. This is stupid.
So that's like one a summer, maybe.
If that, like, I'm also like we talked about in the past of like. All right, they announced, because everybody who does summer tours always plays these fucking amphitheaters.
Yeah.
I hate the amphitheaters so much. Stop playing these fucking places.
Yeah. For example, Rob Zombie was there. We drove to Iowa to see Rob Zombie. That was after the show.
It was after the show, and it was $127 for a ticket. Jumping ahead to that.
So it's almost the same.
with driving and hotel and everything, sure.
Yeah.
I think that price is outrageous for Iowa.
For Iowa, yeah. Yeah, that's outrageous. But who was it? Was it Slipknot that we went all the way to Denver to see?
So yeah, that's the thing. I was saying. It's like these summer tours, they're going to keep coming to these shithead like amphitheater venues. Yeah. So
and look at how many. Okay, so not just Disturbed, but a lot of bands have had to cancel their shows because of the extreme heat this summer or bad weather.
Yeah.
Because they're in these amphitheaters. Where if you don't schedule these Live Nation amphitheaters, listen up. Don't schedule Live Nation amphitheaters, then you wouldn't have to cancel your shows because of heat or bad weather.
And that's the thing. Like when they announced it, not only because of that, but when they announce all these shows, it's summertime. They're going to play these venues. We do look to say, all right, well, which ones are not the amphitheaters?
Yeah.
And it's Denver, it's Grand Rapids, are the two that we found are consistently not the amphitheaters, and they will travel to those locations and spend more money doing it, but we have a better experience while we're there. And I'd rather spend more money to have a better experience than go be pissed off that I am sitting on a fucking lawn and watching a metal show.
Now that is one thing about, I don't know if all the amphitheaters do it, but like Tinley Park has like a $200 lawn package where I think you can see all the shows for $200.
There's probably caveats.
There's probably
if
like
this sells
updates.
out.
Yeah, there's probably something. But I think if we lived closer to that, we would definitely purchase that. And then like, hey, it's a Tuesday night. We have nothing going on. Let's go see some live music.
We talked about that with Guns N' Roses, where we're like, we saw them at Wrigley for $25.
Yeah.
The 400, the very last section in the house, hot as fuck. We didn't know that buying the tickets.
Right.
Spider written dropping from the ceiling all over the place.
It was horrible. We moved.
The sound kind of sucked, but at the same time, it's $25.
Yeah.
And we're in a seat there too, watching the screen. So like, what's the difference than going to Tinley Park?
Yeah.
For us, I think it's the drive. As you said, if we were closer, that's not a bad deal, really. $200 or whatever it costs for every single summer show there.
Yeah. Like there was somebody messaging us on Instagram while we were there, and they were there too. They actually, I think, were at Sound Growler while we were at Sound Growler. I think.
Really?
I think so. I think that's how that all happened. But anyways, so it was just somebody messaging us and commenting on our post, and then I was messaging back while in between bands and stuff, and they mentioned that they did live around Tinley Park, so the lawn is fine for them.
Yeah.
But for us, like driving out there, I don't know. I want to spend the drive out there just to sit on a lawn and watch a TV screen. I
mean, I think it should all be GA seats or GA area. Like every show you go to, I think should be just standing room only.
Yeah.
Maybe have a few seats for the older folks. Like we'll be there someday and need the seats too.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's how the Vic is. And when you're done, you just go up and you sit down in the seat and enjoy the show from there.
Yeah. Like I think that they could make that pit area so much bigger and take out the first, what is that, like the 100 section or whatever, and make that all pit, and then you could have seats behind that and then have the lawn.
I think that'd be better. I agree, but I mean, it's a business. Designed this way because they want to sell these tickets. For
and it's not only metal shows that are there.
Also,
there's a lot of country that goes out there and stuff, and I would agree. Like I would not want to watch a country show standing.
That's
the whole time.
Maybe
but
I
don't know. Like
I'm not a country person.
Even when we went to see Billy Joel, though, we had seats and everybody around us was standing the whole time. Yep. So it's like, what's the point of paying for a seat if you're just gonna stand?
In between songs, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Anyways.
Yeah, the only other thing, Disturbed wise, I was a little bit disappointed.
Why?
Even though it was, like I said, it was one of the best shows I've ever seen of them. In 2020, before COVID, they were supposed to play there for the 20th anniversary of Sickness.
Yeah.
That got canceled for COVID reasons. And I don't think they ever rescheduled that.
No.
Like the whole celebration for the Sickness just sort of stopped.
Yeah.
There may have been a couple shows down south, I think, in 2020. I think I saw one person with like a Disturbed 2020 shirt, and it was like had 4 dates on it.
So was this 2020 or 2021?
I can't remember.
Because I know 2020 they didn't play any shows. 2021 they played like 4 or 5 shows. Maybe that's 2021 then, yeah. Because they were supposed to do like Upheaval in 2021, and they were supposed to do like Blue Ridge and Rockfest, I think. They didn't play those, I don't think, but they did do a few shows late 2021, and then 2022 they did the festival circuit, and then this year they're doing a tour.
But I mean, this was the first show, I think, back in the Chicagoland area, outside of Milwaukee, which is arguably Chicagoland, even though it's not.
It's closer than some suburbs, probably.
But your first show back in the Chicagoland, you were supposed to do your sickness, like your breakout album. You're from Chicago. I wanted something more unique, something more special for like your home.
Yeah.
Like,
and the only special thing was they got the key to Tinley Park.
Did they actually get a key or something?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
They did call that out during the performance. Yeah. Also, for the first part of this tour, the Take Back Your Life tour in Canada, every show had a unique show poster.
Yeah.
They didn't do it for every show. I was like, well, maybe they're going to come to Chicago and do a unique Chicago show poster.
Yeah.
Like, we're home type thing. So I just wish there was more of that.
We're home.
We're home, yes.
Yeah.
Sort of celebration.
That's true. That's true. They really only mentioned it a couple times, too, that they were home. Or, you know, like, and, well, granted, there could be like a college thing or whatever, but a lot of times Dan's daughter comes out and performs with them, or, I think it's Dan's daughter, right?
Yeah. She'll come play the violin during Sound of Silence.
Yeah. So, yeah, like, and she did it, which, again, she could be in college. I don't know how old she is. I think she's that age. So, I mean, there's like all that stuff that wasn't, like when they played in Milwaukee, I think she was there.
I think she was too, yeah.
Or family was there.
I kind of remember him like looking over and like trying to embarrass her, like doing the normal dad shit would do.
Yeah.
And like a teenage daughter, like, fuck off, I'm working.
Yeah. But I don't know. I get what you're saying. Like, it was a little disappointing that it wasn't like Chicago, like we're home, or like even for when they played at Chicago Open Air in 2016, they were like, we used to work right down the street from here. Like, this was like our stomping grounds. Like, we can't imagine like that we used to live here working, you know, minimum wage jobs, and now we're doing, you know, back here playing
a festival.
Yeah, like we're back here playing a festival and like all this shit. And I don't know. I get what you're saying.
Yeah, but like I said, still one of the top Disturbed shows I've ever seen.
And now we know how, like, kind of how to do Tinley Park the way we would find enjoyable. Not saying everybody would, but it is pricey, and we would have to plan out who we would see there. It wouldn't just be anybody.
For sure. It's one of the, I mean, $150 is still cheaper than a hotel room for a night. So,
it is, yeah. But then you got to think, you got to leave work early. Got to drive out there.
Still cheaper.
I know. I'm just saying everything. Like,
you
know, getting home, you're home an hour after the show is over, you know. So if it doesn't get over till 11, we're not home till 12:30 or 1. Yeah.
I mean, it's not the greatest for sure. I still hate this. I love the infrastructure. I love the pit. But I hate that it's an amphitheater. I hate that it's outside. I want to be in an arena. I want to see this in, like, you're an arena band. You should be playing in an arena.
Yeah.
Wintrust Arena is right here in the city.
Right.
Nobody ever fucking plays there. I guess it's because it's not owned by Live Nation or something.
Probably.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Live Nation's a pile of shit. This show, though, wasn't. This show was awesome.
They're going to say, go see any show that's not
can't
by
do that.
Live
like,
Nation.
Live Nation
I know. They own everything. Yeah.
So, anyway, go see live music. This was awesome. We learned from our experiences. We know how to do this a little better. Not necessarily the happiest about it, but happier than we were going into it for sure.
Yes, for sure.
So, go check out live music.
Bye.